Hello ladies and gents, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a smashing day, just like me. Just recently got back from seeing the new Call of the Wild movie. It's an adaptation of the 1903 Jack London novel, and is the first movie to be released under the newly branded 20th Century Studios, which is no longer Fox. So before I get into the review, don't forget to bang down what you think in the comment section below. Have you seen the movie? What did you think of it? If you haven't seen the movie, what are your expectations and what do you think is going to happen? And with all that said, ladies and gents, let's get right into it. Call of the Wild is directed by director Chris Sanders. Chris Sanders has mainly had a background in animation. He's mainly known for his work in the animation teams of the great 90s Disney movies such as Mulan, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin and The Lion King. So he co-wrote and co-directed both the first Lilo and Stitch movie and the first How to Train Your Dragon movie with the famous Dean Dubois, whose name I can never say. It stars Harrison Ford, Omar Sy, Dan Stevens, Karen Gillan, Bradley Whitford, Colin Waddell, Cara G and Scott McDonald. And the movie is set in the 1890s Klondike Gold Rush and follows a dog named Buck who's stolen from his home in California and sent to the Yukon, who befriends an old man and begins a life-altering adventure. So, I've got to be honest, ladies and gents, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought it was going to be utter garbage. I thought it was going to be hot garbage. Mainly because of the CGI of Buck in the trailers. He just does not look real. He looks plasticky. He looks almost like Scooby-Doo, essentially. Like if you tried to CGI animate Scooby-Doo, that's what he would look like. And there was a lot of negative press and a lot of negativity around this movie. But like with most movies, I go into them and I leave my expectations at the door and just hope it's good. And if it's not good, then tough shit. And if it is, then I'm happy. And I'm pleased to announce that I absolutely enjoyed and loved this movie. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Firstly, let's start with Buck. Why is Buck good in the movie? So there's a couple of things that they do with the character. He's essentially like a superhero. The whole movie is about all the different owners that Buck has. So he starts with his nice family at the beginning, and he's well looked after, and then he gets abducted and gets transported to the Yukon where the gold rush is ongoing, and gets given to some owners that don't treat him that well, and he gets handed to a different set of owners and he gets trained to be a sled dog. And then 2/3 of the way into the movie is when he fully gets handed over to Harrison Ford. So Harrison Ford isn't actually in this movie that much, to be totally honest. He narrates the movie, does Harrison Ford. He narrates Buck's story, but he doesn't really get his moment to shine until the end of the movie. There's a couple of things that they do with Buck that I really enjoyed. They made him kind of like a superhero, which was really enjoyable, but also there's this, he keeps seeing this big black wolf with glowing yellow eyes, and essentially this big black wolf is his call to the wild, like his natural instincts. And throughout the movie he helps Buck make the right decisions that helps the humans, obviously. But he's absolutely brilliant in this movie. Once you get over the uncanny valleyness of the CGI and just get into the character, it's absolutely fantastic. Sometimes some of his animations and the way he acts is very human-like. It's what The Lion King last year should have been. They'd have made this dog more realistic and made The Lion King a lot more animated and goofy, because the reason Lion King animated movie from the 90s works is because you can see their face, they have human-like expression. I enjoyed him, but sometimes I could feel myself being pulled out of the movie just because of how goofy certain things happen. Like there's a scene where the dog knows Harrison Ford is drinking, and the dog knows that the alcohol is what's making Harrison Ford miserable. So he takes the alcohol away from me. I'm like, I have a dog and she don't know what alcohol is, so how can this dog tell that that's what's making Harrison Ford upset, essentially? Some weird things like that that just seems almost superhuman. But because of that, Disney have tried to portray this movie and have put out in their press releases that it's a half animated, half live action movie, but I just think that's a cover up because of the poor CGI. There is the argument in why can all the animals just have been used by real animals, but there is the threat of peril in these movies with the dog. There's a certain scene towards the beginning where they hit Buck and hit some of the other animals, and obviously they can't do that with real animals. But why can't they use real animals for certain scenes, and then for more dangerous or over the top or stunt scenes use the CGI? I don't understand it. But that's really everything I have to say on Buck himself. He's a great protagonist, and I just really enjoyed him in the movie once I got over some of the problems I had. Harrison Ford, I've got to be totally honest, I fucking loved Harrison Ford in this movie. Yes, he's playing grumbly, miserable old Harrison Ford like he does in most of his movies. He also plays this character with a lot of emotion. This character's got a lot of emotional baggage, a lot of things bringing him down, a lot of things that affect how he interacts with the world. He's just given up on the world, essentially. He's just gone back into his stupor, very much similar to the Dolittle film. This movie has a lot of comparisons with Dolittle, which I'll get onto in a little bit. But he played it really well. Harrison Ford's been on a bit of a hot streak lately. Last movie he did was Blade Runner 2049. He wasn't in that much. That was mainly Ryan Gosling's movie, but when he did turn up as Deckard, he was fantastic. He only had a bit part role in Rise of Skywalker, so you can't really judge him on that. And the one big thing that he did that he was really good in was The Force Awakens. He was fantastic in The Force Awakens. I really enjoyed him in The Force Awakens. He was kind of like the mentor role to Rey. He's got some emotional vulnerability. At the beginning, like, they kind of introduce him and you see him in parts. And you can see that there's a problem with him. It's only when Buck gets taken in with Harrison Ford's character, Jack Thornton, I think it is, or John Thornton, that he starts to open up and forgive himself for his past. And that's all because of Buck helping him through it. One scene in particular with a harmonica. When Buck first meets Harrison Ford, he hands him back his harmonica. That's right at the beginning of the movie. You've probably seen it in a couple of trailers. And then later on in the movie, it's the thing that helps them bond. They both play the harmonica with each other, and it's a really nice scene. If you want a really good Harrison Ford performance, this is the movie to go and see. There are a couple of things that aren't great with this movie, like every movie. Dan Stevens. I loved the bloke in Beauty and the Beast. He was fantastic. Legion. Everybody knows him from Legion as well. He's pretty much wasted in this movie. He just plays a mustache-twirling villain. Like, he's just there for the sake of it. He wasn't needed in this movie. He's needed for the emotional climax, but he's not needed throughout the rest of the movie. They try and set something up between his character and Harrison Ford, and it doesn't work. Right from the beginning, he's just mustache twirling evil villain. Also, Karen Gillan's in this movie for all of 30 seconds. Like, she's totally wasted. If you're going into this movie thinking that Karen Gillan is going to be in it the whole movie or like a good portion of the movie, she's not. She comes in at the middle point with the mustache twirling villain and then just disappears. We don't see her anymore, so that was a bit of a disappointment. One more thing on the good side that I wanted to talk about is Omar Sy, the French actor. I've seen him before. He was in X-Men Days of Future Past as Bishop, and he was in Jurassic World as the Velociraptor trainer with Chris Pratt. And I really enjoyed him in that role. Even though he's not in it that much, I thought he played that role really well. He gets a lot more to do in this movie. The whole second act of this movie is all with Omar Sy's character before Buck gets handed over to Harrison Ford, and he's fantastic. I felt the emotion in him. He portrays this really friendly dog lover, and he was just really good. His English was really good. Obviously, they got somebody who was French because up towards the Yukon and Canada they speak a lot of French, so it made a lot of sense to hear a French accent. Omar Sy and Harrison Ford are the top two things in this movie. They're fantastic. Their performances are amazing. Cara G, who was with Omar Sy's character Perot, I think, was great. She doesn't get tons to do, but I thought she was quite good at giving life to this character that was kind of like a bit part character, essentially. Same with Omar Sy with Perot. They were fantastic together. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is the score. The score in this is amazing. John Powell, who obviously has worked on the How to Train Your Dragon movies, Madagascar movies, the Kung Fu Panda. He did 2018's Solo's soundtrack. He worked with John Williams to do that soundtrack. I put him just behind Hans Zimmer, John Williams and Alan Silvestri at the moment. I think he's one of the best score makers. I listen to a lot of film scores and I loved this score. The music is very epic adventure, going on a journey type of music, but he uses certain cues that sound like How to Train Your Dragon again. like the upbeat Burke Island type of bits of music that are used in those parts. Also, some of it sounds like Hans Zimmer's soundtrack to 2013's The Lone Ranger. Some of it sounds when they have the big establishing shots of desert and such in The Lone Ranger, and you hear these big musical over-the-top epic scores. It sounds very similar to that. There's also one or two in there that actually sounded like Shire music from The Lord of the Rings. So the last thing I want to talk about is cinematography. Cinematography in this is amazing. Like, a lot of the establishing shots, whoever picked where they were shooting and the places they were shooting in has done a fantastic job. Honestly, the Yukon is absolutely gorgeous. It just, combined with the soundtrack, it just makes me want to pack my bag, get my dog and fuck off into the forest for a couple of months. It's that good. When you come out of it, you feel like you want to go on a journey, and that's the number one thing I can say about this movie. You just feel like you want to go on a journey, and the journey is really good. This movie, for me, would get an 8 out of 10. So you may be thinking, why is it that high? It's higher than Birds of Prey. It's obviously higher than Dolittle. I just really enjoyed it. There was a couple of emotional scenes that really hit me. There were certain scenes that made me cry. Maybe I was just in a funny mood, and that's why I got a lot more attached to it. But I want to give the filmmakers and the actors more credit than that, and I would recommend it to any of you guys. I also want to kind of bring up the elephant in the room, essentially. So for those of you that don't know, there's another movie that's pretty similar to this one. It's called Togo and stars Willem Dafoe and a real dog this time, and it's all about Willem Dafoe training this dog to become a sled dog. It came out on Disney Plus around Christmas time in wherever Disney Plus was available, and I saw the trailer for Togo and for A Call of the Wild, and for some unknown reason my brain just meshed the two together. So I haven't seen Togo yet, so I don't know what to say, but I hear a lot of people are saying it's slightly better than this, so wait and see. But yeah, I just wanted to make that obvious because I don't think a lot of people have said anything about it. So with all that said, don't forget to hit the like button. That tells myself and tells YouTube that you're enjoying the content you're watching and pushes it out to more people. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified every single time I upload any of my videos, any of my content. Also, don't forget to check me out on socials. I've got Instagram, which is at Bryn Williams YouTube. For this movie and for pretty much every single movie, as soon as I come out the cinema, I do a quick review before I do my in-depth review like you're watching now, and some people really enjoy it, so I thought I'd recommend it. And I also post about like updates for the channel, things that go on in my life, things I find funny, things I think you guys would find interesting about movies and movie news and things like that. That goes up on my Instagram. That's Bryn Williams YouTube, all lowercase. And I've also got a Facebook page, which is the first place any of my videos get posted to besides YouTube. I put a link up straight away as soon as they go up, and that's This Week on the Silver Screen. Hopefully I'll have a lower third down here eventually when I can get one sorted. And with all that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.